discussion segment. We apologize for coming up a little bit behind schedule. Our guest is already in the house. Last Friday, we started a conversation, and it's about reviewing 2024. I'm looking at what 2024 has offered, the good, the bad, and maybe the ugly. And today we'll be continuing in that direction. We are looking at basically the foreign affairs aspect of the current administration of President Bola Tinubu. How have it fared? Has it been good? Has it been bad? What's next to take? Evaluate it and prefer a way forward. And who else can do that for us rather than Professor BABAFEMI BADEJO, former Deputy Special Representative to the UN Secretary General for Somalia. Is well versed in that area. That's why we have him on New Dawn. Good morning, sir.
Yes, very, very good morning to you.
And we want to thank you for being patient with us this morning.
Yes, I am not going to be very patient with the fact that it appears that the title that was advertised has been changed on me. It's fine, I can handle it, but the title that I was given was Political Upheavals of 2024, but we can do it as you are suggesting.
It's same topic. 2024 in retrospect, please go up with us, but given your wealth of experience, we'll just focus on maybe diplomacy and foreign policy, Nigeria's foreign policy for the past 11 months or so. So we are not taking you away, from your field, Professor Badejo. Well, maybe we should start with, of course, with President Tinubu has visited a number of countries. There's these 4 Ds, foreign policy thrust of the president, which means relating with the international community on the basis of democracy, demography, development, and diaspora. How far, how well, Professor?
My view on that for this is that it is in the large part sloganeering, in the sense that the essence of foreign policy is realizing the
All right, I think we have a challenge with Professor there.
The sort of 4 Ds that are being put forward had already been discussed and put into our national constitution as to what we should be up to at the international level. My view is that we have been lackluster in the large part in trying to deal with our foreign policy interests. Why are we lackluster? You cannot but be lackluster if your domestic politics is not sound enough. And our domestic reality has been on the very, very weak side. I want to point out the fact that for well over 1 year after President Tinubu recalled ambassadors and high commissioners, our chief diplomats all around the world, and that had taken place. But since then, replacements have not been appointed. Why is this the case? Maybe President Tinubu does not think that foreign policy is important, or maybe he does, but lacks the resources to embark on dealing with this necessity. But when we are talking about lacking resources, then we have to be focused on the fact that President Tinubu, within the period, was able to show his priorities. And his priorities in the period since he has been in office has been the acquisition of a new jet, which cost us quite a lot, several jets still in the, and what's wrong in having to take regular airlines to achieve foreign policy, but we saw our priorities differently. The fact of the matter is that a lot continues to be stolen at the level of corruption, and the inability to address the loots of the past and the loots that are currently taking place in a humongous manner, because the looting has taken greater shape than it was in the past. We have faced looting for quite a while now, but if you remember what some ministers did in a very short time of being in office, and we don't even talk about it anymore. I'm talking in particular about the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs that had BADEJO and her general manager. And when we look into all that, we start seeing that maybe the problem is not the resources, but the problem is on how you allocate the resources. And that's why, for instance, we have to understand something very simple, that politics is a question of who gets what, when, and how. Now, if you decide that you're going to not go after resources that are being stolen, or you go about it in a lackluster way, then resources are going to be your problem in your argument, because of the inability to put ambassadors in place in the countries where we have relationships all over the world. So, democracy, how have we fared on democracy? Why do you want to be selling what you don't have? I don't know what the foreign minister has in mind. Demography, I don't know what they have done about that either. Diaspora, I don't. Just tell me what and what, apart from the fact that you have NIDCOM and the head of NIDCOM running around in a number of places. Tell me what we have achieved. Oh, let me not forget, we supported the lady that became Miss Universe. So that could be something that we can say in terms of diaspora. If anything, we actually went over and above in reacting to the statements of the new leader of opposition in the United Kingdom, a relationship that we could build upon to the level of the Vice President being involved over the statements he made. Why the statements may not be acceptable for sure, but there are different ways to diplomatically deal with that at the international level.
All right, Prof.
Further politicization.
Prof, you have highlighted most of what you've highlighted are the things that the president have not done too well in the area of foreign policy. But we want to also balance this up with what the aim of his travels has been said to be bringing in foreign direct investments. Do you have any information of how much of foreign direct investments that have been brought in due to the several trips abroad?
Well, if foreign direct investment is flowing in, it will show on the value of the naira. Because if money is coming in, then we wouldn't have money chasing. But yes, I acknowledge the fact that the president made a number of travels. He was at FOCA, the African relationship with China. He attended that and used that opportunity to try to address the relationship between Nigeria and China. And hopefully, because it's not just a question of you fly to places and you now say that everything, I mean, a lot of flights took place in 2023, and those flights were the several promissory notes. We have not seen them till today. Whether you're talking about UAE, okay, the visa was restored in the UAE. The fact that Nigerians will not be getting visa to go to Dubai to spend money. What does that do to our overall productivity? I don't know. We can look at that. And then he also went to the G20 meeting in India, on the basis of which we could say resulted in Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, visiting Nigeria, and we gave him our national honors. There were promissory notes of the fact that India would be investing into Nigeria. India has been investing in Nigeria. I'm yet to read of those major promises that are set to be on the table, but I must accept that these things also take time. It's not that a prime minister visits today and everything starts to flow in tomorrow. So let's be hopeful. The president also went to Brazil. Since you are focusing on the travels of the president went to Brazil, and the G20 meeting in Brazil, and definitely a relationship with Brazil must be crucial for us, because it's one on which we can benefit a lot. There was a talk of the fact that a company based in Brazil would be investing in our livestock situation. I read some things about the possibility of that company coming over to Ogun State, where you are, in order to revolutionize our livestock processes, and we start being in a position to export beef. Yes, we can keep our fingers crossed and be waiting. However, and then, yes, we also had bilateral commission review with South Africa, under which the South African president promised that they were going to improve the relationship between South Africa and Nigeria. I have not sought the South African visa this year because my experience in 2023 was horrible. That to try to get a visa to visit South Africa at the time. Even though I had invitation for this year, I have not gone forward. Maybe that will also take time. But concretely, we can look at all this, that relationship with South Africa, relationship with China, relationship with Brazil, relationship with India. All these did not give us access to be a member of BRICS, which some will say we don't want, but all we have done in terms of action suggests that we wanted, because we had made some of these overtures and somehow we have been kept out. And we are being kept out as Ethiopia and Egypt were being welcomed into the BRICS. So we need to look at what has been the concrete impact of this flying around that you have pointed to. I could pause for a minute in case you want to ask something else.
Okay, now, talking about BRICS, I know that Nigeria, 12 others, have joined BRICS as partner countries. Just like you said, well, in some quarters, why should Nigeria join BRICS? But what's the fuss about these BRICS? What are the advantages for Nigeria? In your own opinion, should we join BRICS or not?
Oh, in my opinion, we should have been part of BRICS from the very, very beginning. South Africa was invited to join in 2010, but because of our behavior in thinking that we are the giant of Africa and we must be begged to be part of this or that as a right, the countries that started as BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, who are now approaching among themselves, and then you add South Africa, it becomes, when they added South Africa in 2010, it became BRICS. And they are now like accounting for almost half of the global trade relationship. And that's a formidable partnership that one should be part of ab initio. Now, who is keeping us out? That made it easy for India, made it easy for Ethiopia and Egypt from Africa when this round of opening up took place? I don't know. Yes, I note the second-class relationship you are talking about, but I think Nigeria deserves better. If you don't want to be in it, then don't. But talking concretely, the fact is that BRICS are trying to provide alternatives for trade interactions in such a way that you are able to maximize your gains, whether it is in using your own currency or currencies swap among membership. We have a currency swap with China that has been on since probably the time of Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, through to now, but not much was being achieved in utilizing that as opposed to the total focus on the dollar. But I note that that has just been renewed to the level of $2 billion in a trade relationship. That may not go too far, but it is a welcome development. But being part of BRICS would automatically make this relationship with the other countries very, very open, that we can use our own currency, meaning that other countries would, and all that should have an overall impact on the value of the naira chasing dollars. But I must be careful in saying our production has to improve before we can benefit from some of these relationships. It's not just sitting in BRICS or sitting in G20. We have not been granted a seat at the G20 either, and we're talking about the need for us to be part of it. I have a different opinion on some of this, but the fact is that we are being kept out in a number of places. Why is, quote, the giant of Africa, if we really are a giant, being kept out? Those are issues that we should sit down to look at seriously. And all that, as I said earlier on, borders on domestic politics.
All right, Prof, before we go full blast into domestic politics, I'm sure you have a lot to say about that. President Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS as of today. It was renewed in the course of the year 2024. But I would like you to look at his performance, so to speak, as it regards the nations, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, who are pulled out of ECOWAS, and how he has fared coupled with the recent accusation of Nigeria being used by France to destabilize Niger. What do you have to say about that ECOWAS space?
Well, I would be happy to note that late Abeokuta, an important mentor of mine, was the brain behind ECOWAS. Dr. General Yakubu Gowon is still alive, but I had the personal sitting down with Adebayo a number of times on how ECOWAS came into being and how he had been on the forefront of realizing integration of West Africa as a way to move forward internationally. And I'd written about it in the early 60s, but the opportunity came with our civil war when he was working for Gowon as Minister of Economic Planning, or Commissioner they were called those days. And the opportunity of going to Togo presented itself to thank Eyadema for the support he gave to Nigeria during Nigeria's civil war. As opposed to Benin Republic that was actually using its territory, it was Dahomey at that time, using its territory to support the Biafran efforts of the period. Now, if we fast forward from all that, Gowon bought into the idea, and Eyadema. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the realities of ECOWAS is that of Nigeria realizing the importance of having its immediate neighbors as part of its larger focus. And we have been carrying 85% of the total needs of ECOWAS on a regular basis. Now, but it was a basis you can count for on, it used to be, you can count for 15 votes with yours if you play your game very well, because everybody knows that you are maintaining this organization. But then Mauritania left long ago in the 90s. Now, but we have been able to manage and keep together 15. If there is a strong failure that you want to say about President Tinubu, it is thinking that international politics is Aleko politics. It's definitely much more serious. He was asked to come and be the chairman, and we all started making a big deal of it. And in that being chairman, he dabbled into if there is any coup in West Africa. I do know for sure that this has been in the books of the OAU and at the African Union, and when it later became African Union, it remains in their books. West Africa also have it in their books. But I want to say to you that when you look at the United States, all over the world, but when it comes to carrying it out against their own fundamental national interest, the United States keeps quiet. But in our case, the president decided there was a coup in Niger, and I have said there will be no more coups, and so he made a bluff. We will attack, and we will, if in 7 days, of course in foreign policy, you don't make a bluff when you don't have the capacity to carry it out. You must be.
Well, it seems we lost some connection there. Very shortly, we hope to have Professor Babafemi BADEJO back because, a lot of questions we still have for him. Professor Babafemi BADEJO, the former Deputy Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Somalia, and he's also a professor of political science and international relations at Queensland University, Abeokuta. The topic has been 2024 in retrospect, the political upheavals, and our focus has been on Nigerians' foreign policy for the past 1 year. Particularly the exits of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso from ECOWAS, and he was speaking to that before we lost connection with him. Okay, let's take this short break. We'll be back shortly.
Yes.
Many thanks for staying with us. Yes, Professor BABAFEMI BADEJO is back with us. But Professor, because our time is fast spent, but can we really blame the Niger's military leader for accusing Nigeria of trying to destabilize his country? Yes, the federal government once threatened to invade Niger and restore a democratic order. Now we seem to be in bed with France. Is it a matter of my friend's enemy should be my enemy somewhat?
Well, basically, everybody knows that in international relations, one of the things you focus on are the relationships. And it's normally said that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The friend of my enemy is my enemy. Now you can say the friend of my friend is my friend. So, if the Nigerian people felt that they were having problems with France, and they threw France out from their mining, which France has been doing, and you can go and look at the statistics on what uranium was spent costing internationally and what the French had gotten as a result of the so-called pact for the continuation of colonization that these countries were forced to sign at independence. And these countries are trying to get rid of all these relationships, and it is at that same point that we started warming up to France. So there is bound to be some suspicion on that basis. Now, I cannot confirm that Nigeria's warming up to France is in order to harm Niger. The claim was that France is going to come to assist us in our mining operations and all the rest of it and what have you. But what has come out of the experience all over Africa in terms of French relationships with these countries? Why do we think that French relationship with Nigeria is going to be any different? What are the personal interests of our president in France that led to some of these new developments? Because it's good to build relationship with everybody, but in building relationship with everybody, you must also look at your history. And our history with France has not been positive. I will salute the president if he's able to build on it and make some positive outcome with it, but one has to be suspicious, and the Nigerian coup leader also is the sovereign of the country today, because it has been shown that we have failed to restore President Bazoum, who wanted to restore, and we could then engage and have a positive. The president has, or the administration has showed that we have not offered any bases to France. That is welcome. If that is the case, it's very welcome. But to destabilize a country it does not have to involve bases. There are several things that are done. The Nigerian oil pipeline that China had built that was allowing the exports of their oil got sabotaged, and they claimed we have a hand in that. Only those who are in the intelligence area can say what is happening. I am not in a position to speculate that we are involved, we are not involved. Because definitely, if our president is still wanting to make changes, he will still be trying to see what and what are doable to make it important for those countries to remain in ECOWAS. But those countries seem very determined, and others may still remain in ECOWAS, but are supportive of the efforts. Because I see Senegal that we are asking to negotiate, just asking that French bases must close down in their country. Those are phenomenal developments that we need to pay attention to and build relationships that takes advantage of our long-term interests with our neighbors. You cannot choose your neighbors. They will be there for long. Our thinking that these countries account for just 8% of ECOWAS is more than that. So what some of our people are saying, it is our security interest. Boko Haram, ISWAP, all of them from the northernmost portion of our territory would have a field day if we lose relationships with Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. So we need to continue to cut these people at the bilateral level, meaning we have lost significant. If you take a look at the map that is being shown of ECOWAS and ECO-East, you see that vast territory. Of course, we are only focused on what do they contribute, but we are losing a lot that we can count on internationally, which we have been paying for. And some people will say that it is ECOWAS that decided. It is not our president. You are paying 85, 75% for an organization. For God's sake, how can you be saying that they are the ones pushing you and you are not the one pushing them? That's failure.
Okay, Prof.
I mean, definitely, you have 5 wives and you are unable you are putting all the foods down for them and your family, and you are not able to say this is where the family is going.
Okay. Now, Professor,
the family you ask, what kind of a husband are you?
Okay, before we leave ECOWAS, very shortly, because our time is fast spent, I just wanted to know what would be the implication, for ECOWAS, because it seems the trio of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have left. They've gone for good. And I could recall that they were given 6 months to return to ECOWAS, or they will face consequences of their exits. So what will be these repercussions now that they have left, and it seems the 6 months has lapsed?
They are actually saying we are out of here. Of course, they are also going to lose. It's not that it's all one way, but they have considered everything and came to the conclusion that they are better off. Now, they used to have it easier to reach the coast because they are landlocked. Now, under ECOWAS protocols and everything, all that will be lost. So they also have to negotiate bilateral relationships to reach the Atlantic coast. But the Atlantic coast is not the only option. They can build up their relationship with Algeria, which country did not support us as we were trying to muzzle Niger. Which country was seeing an alternative of picking up where we are failing, in terms of guarding our interests. Of course, terrorism does not pay anyone, neither themselves nor ourselves. In effect, they're going to lose more if there isn't that cover. But also note that they are building their relationship with alternative, bringing Russia more strongly into the sub-region, and that does not augur well for us, and long term may also be a problem for them, because everybody is pursuing their interests, and you are able to deal with Russian interests as a whole of ECOWAS than as the individual countries. So it's a lose-lose situation, but it's one that we can still continue to put efforts into building better bilateral relationship in such a way that we remove the anxiety that we create by trying to fan the ember of the friend of my enemy is my enemy. We can't go away with that with respect to the countries of the Association of Sahelian States. We must be totally, I told you about the pipeline, billions are involved, and we cannot say that we just let things go, and I'm sure the administration is not letting things go. They must be trying their best to see how to improve.
All right, Prof. In the remaining 10 minutes, we'd like to just look at the domestic politics. We have a government in power, we have some opposition political parties, and we also have the umpire. Can you assess these three categories in maybe the next 5 minutes? The ruling party, the opposition parties, and the umpire in 2024?
Well, I said earlier on that what is political? What is political, I say, is interests. One word, explain what is political. You can look at it at the family level and note that the family operates in a way to take care of the fundamental needs of its people. And those needs, the primary ones are being able to breathe air, which is still free until they are able to corner it and start selling to us like we are being sold water. And the second one is water, and the third is food. After all that, all the other, that's the foundation on which politics rests. Because many people mistake all this and look only at political parties. Political parties and government are arrangements that we set up in order to achieve the how you are able to meet the needs of those individuals, how you are able to pull all those interests of every individual together and articulate them, resulting in policies. So what I'm trying to suggest is that the arrangement that we have on ground has several faults that you can trace in several directions, but the fundamental issue is what has been the difference in the capacity of people to eat and eat better in 2024. That would be how to look at politics, political economy orientation, as opposed to chasing shadows. I'm aware of the fact that there are reforms that are on the table. The local government reforms, for instance. It was good that the president decided to localize corruption, as he thought, better than the total money that is coming to local governments being pocketed by the state governors. And the president is trying to say, go to your governor put pressure on your governor, but we are going to help you out by making fiscal direct money going to the local government. However, how do people control the money that is also coming to the local government? What kind of local government arrangements are we having? And the failure of that policy in implementation is already showing up. The governors all over decided to carry out sham elections, but the fact is that they are in control of the parties in their various states. And being in control of the parties in the state is for you to decide who gets nominated to go into the electoral process. And they did that, and you have the APC controlling the states it has, and the PDP controlling its states. And we did what Mobutu did to deceive foreign aid givers, who said you must have political parties if we are going to give you aid. He said, okay, by the time you come back, I will be having political parties. And Mobutu called his relations, you form a party, you form a party, son-in-law, form your own party, daughter, form your own party. And when they came, there were parties all over the place. Parties, the way they are being handled in much of Africa, are shifting alliances of thieves. Because you build so much around the question of, oh, political party this, political party that. In any case, the fact of the matter is, it's time that people themselves get involved and
ask
Prof. The questions of governors, ask questions of chairmen of local government to make sense the intention that you can read into the local government reforms.
Okay, Prof.
We don't have time to talk about the tax reforms.
Okay.
We don't have time to talk about end bad governance. All these things are important. We don't have time to talk about Dangote and NNPCL, which is excruciating to our lives. Now, we used to buy petrol at what rate? Now they are telling us, oh, the price has now come down. It is going down, and it will continue to go down. Yes, the question of interest,
Professor,
says that it's not going to go down.
Okay, Professor, our time is fast spent, but before you go very shortly, because our time is up, I wanted to ask about Kemi Badenoch and Nigeria. Our comments have triggered mixed reactions to some people. She's denigrating, demarketing Nigeria, while to some, the conservative party leader, she only said this as it is.
Okay. The Kemi Badenoch issue requires a full dialogue. I had written some things about some of the things that she said from her position was from somebody who is saying, I had a Nigerian ancestry, I am British. That is a point that those like Abike Dabiri who want to embrace her, like Shetima, who want to embrace her and claim her. She doesn't want us to claim her. Now, if we see her as any other British person, then we can diplomatically react to the things that she has said, some of which are problematic, especially some of the comments she made about northern Nigeria, which some of what she said, some Nigerians are saying in their private homes, but our need for unity does not allow perpetuating those differences. So I don't agree with her to that extent. But there is so much that she said. Is it that this country is not corrupt? Is it that life for the ordinary man in this country can be better? Is it that there are not so many thieves in our bus? I will tell you the story about thieves in our bus. And that is related to the palliative government that we have. A thief was at the bus station trying to enter the bus as other people were entering. He picked the pocket of a teacher, took the salary of the teacher for the month in his wallet. And as the bus got to where the teacher was to come down, the teacher went to pay to the driver and saw that he didn't have any money. The driver started cursing the teacher for taking a free ride and not wanting to pay. And as the boss and the people were dissatisfied about this horrible teacher, the thief put up his hand and said, "Oh, by the way, the teacher's fare is on me." And everybody started clapping. That they didn't know that it was the thief that was taken out of what belonged to the teacher to pay part of the fare. So we all go to line up for palliatives. 65 people, Nigerians, were killed in all these trying to line up. Why do we have to line up in a country that is so blessed as we are? And instead of dealing with all that and make our country attractive to our children, we are busy trying to face Kemi Badenoch, and the VP had the audacity to say maybe she should even remove the Kemi from her name, which drove her into saying, "My name is Yoruba, has nothing to do with Nigeria." That's true. That's also true, because Yoruba are all over as a result of slavery, or as a result of the division of people. Yorubas are in Benin Republic. Yorubas are in Togo, through to Ghana, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Brazil, and whatever. So I would suggest that we should leave Kemi alone, try to see what relationships we can build. She came here as a minister of
Professor,
whatever, trying to build trade relationship. We can use some of that. If she doesn't become prime minister, why should that be of excitement to Nigerians? If she becomes prime minister, all well and good. What she has achieved today is already fantastic enough for her own history, even if she doesn't go forward. And I wish her that she is able to go forward, given her Nigerian ancestry, which dates to Bariga, her father, and mother, Professor Feyi Adegoke. So we must look.
Well, thank you, Professor. We hope one day Kemi Badenoch will visit Nigeria, and sins will be forgiven, just on a lighter note. But thank you, Professor Babafemi Badejo, former Deputy Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Somalia, and also Professor of Political Science and International Relations at Christian University, Abeokuta. Thanks for the profound contribution.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am very grateful for your having me. Thanks a lot.
And Happy New Year in advance, Professor.
Oh, yes, that is true. We're about to enter into a new year, 2025. All the best to you, in particular, Moses, and your other colleagues in the new year. And hopefully, if we don't see on Ogtv, we will see in Abeokuta.
Yes, and we'll continue this some other time. Thank you so much. Today we have to go.
All right, we have to go. Thank you so much to you out there for watching the program. I'm sure you've learned one or two things from this edition. This is the last one for the year 2024 on New Dawn. Tomorrow is Otonjo, the last obviously for the Yoruba version. By the time you come on New Dawn, it will be next year, 2025. And see you then by the grace of God. Until then, we have to do the cousin. Bye-bye.